Hello and welcome back to another Dram 1 review, and today we'll be looking at the last entry in the Explorers pack. So after this it's back to normal reviews, people, but this today is the Starward Tawny Cask, and this is one hell of a whiskey. Yes, the Starward Tawny Cask, and as you maybe have noticed, it doesn't have a box behind it. Now, with all the things in my Explorers pack, if it has a box you would have seen it behind it. But with this you didn't. And you know why? Because the biggest downside of this whiskey is its box. It is a thing of horror. Okay, maybe that's a bit exaggerated, but I mean, if I give a distillery one downside and it's their boxes, I think, well, good job on the distillery. But as you may see here, it opens like this and like this inside, and then another one here. And then when you finally pull it out, you'll notice that this thing in the bottom, which is in place, is loose, so it gets stuck. So when I go to clients and I try to get this bottle out, it's a pain. This is a nice box to show it once, and then afterwards, if you want to drink it often, it's definitely one you're not going to keep it in, because it is a pain. But that being said, they also do packaging right a different way, because they have my favorite kind of stopper. This is a stopper which is not cork. Don't get me wrong, I like cork, but cork also has its downside. It can go bad. It can even, in some rare cases, impart bad flavors on a whiskey. And this is synthetic, or at least I think so. Maybe a bit of rubber, but it is one hole. Lovely sound, also, by the way. But as you can see, it's like entirely made of what seems to be rubber. I think just synthetic, and it's one hole. So it's unlikely you're gonna tear it apart. It's not two pieces fit together like with cork and a wooden topper. Anyway, like that. This is a tawny cask, and it's an Australian whiskey. They originate from right outside Melbourne, and in just 4 years, because this is 4 years old, you get an amazingly intense whiskey, because the climate there leads to so much interaction with the wood. It breathes in and out and in and out. I can only imagine the angel share there. It's gonna be huge. But either way, they first mature this on, if I'm correct in saying, they mature this on their own wine cask, not their own, but from near Melbourne. They get almost everything locally. So everything is aged in wine cask that Starward does, and I mean everything. But they also do use some fortified wines for finishing. Like in this case, that's the Tawny Cask. And the Tawny Cask, of course, Tawny Port, it develops a wonderful layer on the finish of the dram. Not just the finish, on the palate. It's just, it makes everything so well rounded, and it's natural color. It's bottled at this one at 50%, so 100 proof. And I mean, just look at it. This is natural color after 4 years, and it is gorgeous. Not just gorgeous, by the way, this was a great success. They brought out 500 milliliter bottles of this, and it sold out in no time. And this is a 700 milliliter bottle, which, oddly enough, but I'll take it, is available for the same price as the 500 milliliter bottle was. But anyway, it was a success, so they had to bring it back. And this one is selling out quite fast as well, so I'm very glad, because it's still a limited edition, to include it in the Explorers pack. Now, I am partial to a port finish. I've always liked a good port. It imparts some sweet flavors, but in my opinion, not sickly sweet flavors. Sometimes PX does, sometimes it doesn't. Port is usually a hit with me, but I also know many people are unpartial to it. But even those, I think you might find something to like in this whiskey, because it's balanced. It's not overly sweet, and as you may have noticed in the last episode, I gave some tasting notes before diving into it again, because I know it from the past, but I had to correct myself a bit with some things. So before doing that, I'm gonna dive straight into the nosing of this dram. Oh yeah, rich, dark dried fruits, rum raisins, which is my favorite. If you've read the blog, you'll see me mention it. If I find it in a whiskey, I'll automatically go bonkers for it. That's just my favorite treat, or like Malaga ice cream that has the rum raisins in it. It's just a note that I love, and I adore it when I find it in whiskey. The sweetness is there. You can sense a bit of the port, a bit of the wine. But it's, cinnamon rolls. I'm suddenly getting cinnamon rolls with the frosting, with the white frosting on top. Lovely, lovely. Let's have a sip to see what it does on the palate. This is what I was talking about. Very, very good. Not overly sweet like you might expect from a port cask. It's the climate, I think, that only after 4 years you get so much wood influence already. It has those tannins, it has that bitter, dark note, which just stops it from becoming overwhelming. Now, too many things, when they're really sweet, I am not saying really, really sweet cannot still be good. I mean, the Fergan Harris from the lineup, I think is pretty sweet. It's still very good, as long as it's well balanced. But this, when you smell it, you think like, oh, this is gonna be very sweet. When you taste it, it's just expertly crafted. It's like when somebody prepares a dish for you with all kinds of flavor in it. Like, for example, they make a sweet dessert with some red pepper in it or something, and somehow it works a treat. It's the same here. You have these contrasting flavors, sweet and bitter, and together they deliver such a beautiful palate. And my example of food is actually a very good one, because the fun thing about Starward is it's perfect for bars and restaurants, which I'm aiming to sell this at, like, so you can try it yourself. So hopefully you're in a bar or restaurant, or you've been there and you found my menu with a QR to my blog, you read it, and you're watching the video now. How awesome would that be? Anyway, but this goes perfect with a meal, because it's made for a meal actually. The owner, an Italian, well, former Italian, but from Italian heritage, Australian, he wanted to create unpretentious whiskey. Not aimed at the top market, not aimed at people who are gonna be snobistic about it, or like very fancy about it. He wanted something that goes with dinner, because the way he grew up in his culture, so to say, so not Australian but more the Italian, like, dinner was important, dinner is important, and he wanted something that you could sip along at dinner, at the dinner table, something to just enjoy. You can have a conversation while having it, and that's how he came up with Starward. And I think he succeeded. I tried this with food, and especially with dessert, it is a wonderful combination, and it's really mouth-watering, and it has the ability to enhance the flavors of the food, and the food has the ability to enhance the flavors of this dram. The one mark against it is that it doesn't have a finish to speak of. With those intense flavors, I would have expected that finish to last forever, but it doesn't. But in a way, maybe that's a good thing, because Starward wants you to enjoy this with a meal, and then you would feel sad for taking a bite, because you'd wash those nice flavors away. And this one, you take a sip, it's wonderful, and after that, well, the finish is gone fast, so you might as well take another bite. And perhaps another sip. Anyway, I love this. I hope you'll enjoy it as well. And I hope very much that you like this Explorers pack. And the next one is coming out for the summer, so in July, so there will be more videos about it then too, but in the meantime I'll try to post some regular reviews too, because I know these are hard to get bottles sometimes. And if you're not living in the Netherlands, you can go out to a bar or restaurant where they sell the Dram 1 whiskey selection, then you might not be very interested in these reviews. So I'm gonna do some different ones too. And perhaps you'll also see me with the Dram Buddies, a few friends of mine. So either way, you haven't seen the end of me. I hope you're not getting tired of this face already. And I'd love to see you again. If you like the channel, if you like this video, if you like the Explorers pack or whatever, if you like something, just drop a like, click follow, and I hope to see you all again soon. Slaantje va!